it looks like that, of course, the 47.6 million people that are collecting food stamps, there's going to start to be a little bit of a downturn in that. And what is going to happen is there is a mandatory pullback. There's going to be a 5.5% reduction in the benefits that will pull $5 billion in federal spending out of the economy over the next 10 months. So in other words, the average cost is about $63 per family that their food stamps are going to be cut back. And there's an article in the Los Angeles Times saying that this is a callous display in cutting one of the vital safety nets benefits at a time when millions lack the resources to feed their families adequately, and has been a huge problem. Now, this is causing a dramatic problem for the state of California, and that's why the LA Times wrote this. But here's what the LA Times, now I'm going to read between the lines of what the LA Times said, okay? I'm making up my own little thing here. Because if we think about it, this is what they're saying, that this is a callous display of cutting vital safety net benefits at a time when, that's all direct quote, when millions lack the resources because of the pathetic, struggling economy under this administration, that families are still in great distress because they can't find a job in an economy that's supposed to be recovering. So therefore, the attention to food stamps has to be adequate enough to supply the economic safety net necessary. To me, this is an admission from the LA Times that they know that the economy is still pathetic. It still needs, we need these 47.6 million people to continue at the same level of the food stamps. It's an admission that this administration has done a horrible job at trying to recover an economy that is far from recovering. That it's the first time they're admitting this is the first time in our nation's history where the poverty rate has gone up during any kind of recovery. This is what they're saying. $457 million alone coming out of the economy of California. Because California's taxes are high, Californians can't get jobs. How about talking about the problem? I'll tell you what the problem is. The problem is not maintaining the current level of food stamps. The problem ought to be focused on creating jobs and creating a thriving economy, because I believe personally that the vast majority of people that are using food stamps would much rather have a job than using food stamps. Now, maybe I'm wrong about that, but I don't think I am. So how about the LA Times write an article that's real and talk about the real problem? The real problem is not that we're cutting the food stamps benefits. The real problem is that we have to have 47.6 million people on food stamps to begin with, and it continues to go up instead of going down because nobody wants to address the real problem of the necessity for the safety net. So blame the government for cutting a program instead of blaming the government for their incompetence in trying to create an atmosphere where small business, mid-sized business, and large business can thrive and put some of the money they've hoarded to work into the economy. How about we talk about that, LA Times? How about you talk about that? But no, the LA Times would rather just make an assumption That all these people, I'm not denying, first of all, make this clear, don't email me. I get enough, I'm getting 2,000 emails. It's getting ridiculous a day. And I can't read them. I'm not going to read them, not able to read them. But listen, don't start sending me emails saying, well, you're awfully callous. Speaking of callous, I don't have a problem. Listen, I understand the safety net. I get it. But the LA Times is saying that there are people that are entitled to this money, and it's the government's fault they're not getting it. Instead of saying there are people that need this money and they're not able to survive without it because they can't get a job. They're making an assumption that 47.5 million people want to be on the government dole. I don't believe that's the case. I believe that a lot of these people want to be hardworking, contributing members to the American society. Apparently, the LA Times doesn't believe that. Get crazy when I see these articles. So, California, you're losing all this money out of your economy. How about you get your economy turned around? How about you get a governor that understands a little bit more than just Keynesian economics and believes that he can cut taxes to grow an economy instead of your cities filing for bankruptcy so that more small businesses can get burnt by the counties or the small cities that declare bankruptcy. It's amazing.